The story begins in the school gymnasium where the coach delivers a final chilling address to the students. This is your final awakening ceremony. Those who fail today will spend the rest of their lives as ordinary nobodies, attending ordinary universities and working ordinary jobs. These words resonated deeply within our protagonist, Moon, who sat among his peers with his girlfriend Xiao by his side. Although their relationship had been strained lately, Moon's entire focus in that moment was on one thing: the awakening. To understand the stakes, one must realize the world changed 200 years ago after the collapse. Great rifts tore through the sky, unleashing mythical monsters that nearly eradicated humanity. Survival was only possible thanks to the emergence of awakeners, humans whose bodies evolved to possess superhuman abilities and specialized classes. After decades of bloody warfare, humanity regained control, and the age of 18 became the sole opportunity for a person to shape the future of the world rather than just being a statistic in it. The coach began the ritual as students approached the awakening stone. The first was Aaron Wells. The stone reacted instantly, manifesting a spectral shield beside him. The coach announced he had attained the powerful Guardian Knight class. Names followed in quick succession. Some succeeded, while those who failed retreated to their seats in silence, met with total coldness and indifference from the crowd. Then came Xiao's turn. The moment she touched the stone, transparent golden threads spiraled around her. The coach announced her class, Lifebinder, a rare and highly coveted support class sought after by the top guilds. Xiao returned to her seat glowing with joy, yet strangely, she avoided Moon's gaze entirely. When it was Moon's turn, he stepped forward with a sliver of hope and placed his hand on the stone. But nothing happened. The stone remained dark. Moon tried to ask for a second chance, but the coach's dismissal was harsh. Awakening failed. Next. Moon returned to his seat as a null, the derogatory slur used to bully those with no future in the world of awakeners. At that moment, Xiao's true colors were revealed. She looked at Moon as if he were a complete stranger. When Marcus Miller, the wealthy, arrogant student who had awakened as a powerful swordsman, offered her a spot on his elite team, she accepted instantly without hesitation. She left Moon behind to stand with Marcus and his clique, the very group that had always targeted Moon. Before walking away, Xiao looked at Moon with icy indifference and said, "Moon, we need to break up. Go live a good life and stay out of trouble." The words were devastating. She was discarding him at his absolute lowest point, ending a 2-year relationship with a few hollow words. Moon didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing him hurt. He didn't react with rage or emotion. He simply looked at her with total coldness, turned his back, and walked out of the gym in silence. As he passed through the gates amidst the celebrations of the other students, he began a new journey. An ordinary person in their eyes, but a man with a heart turned to stone toward the past. Moon returned to his small apartment feeling the weight of a mountain on his shoulders. He didn't lie to himself. He was broken. His dreams of becoming an awakener had evaporated in seconds. Even worse, the summoning was drawing near. There are 2 ways to enter the first sanctuary, either immediately after awakening or on the eve of your 18th birthday, regardless of your status. For a null like Moon, this entry was a mere formality. The world would scan him, confirm his failure, and spit him back to Earth, a final stamp on his disappointment. Moon knew these gates were lethally selective. If you tried to enter without being recognized by the sanctuary, your body would be reduced to atoms in seconds. He'd seen the horrific videos of people who tried to sneak in behind Awakener teams, only to end up as shreds. It was 8:47 p.m., 3 hours and 13 minutes left. He sat in his modest apartment, a place that served as a constant reminder of his parents' death during a rift incident. He had always believed that awakening would be his way to avenge them and protect those he loved. But the bitter truth was that the world was about to officially declare him powerless. You will be summoned to the first sanctuary in 1 minute. Prepare yourself. A strange voice echoed in Moon's mind as he lay on his bed, still in his clothes, lacking even the energy to change. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Suddenly the world was wiped away. His body deconstructed and reassembled in an instant, and he found himself standing in a vast stone plaza. The sight was otherworldly. The sky held 2 moons, one a pale blue, the other a deep crimson, surrounded by strange constellations unknown to Earth. Roughly 1,000 youths stood with him, their expressions split between awe for the awakeners and terror for the failures. A spirit manifested in the air, a stunningly beautiful woman with an enchanting smile. She surveyed the crowd with intense focus. With a sharp snap of her fingers, the failures began to vanish, sent back to Earth one by one. Moon closed his eyes and surrendered to fate, waiting to be returned to his bleak room. About 20% of the crowd disappeared, but then the shock hit. Moon was still standing there. The voice returned, ringing clearly in his mind. "Welcome to the first sanctuary. You are the chosen, deemed worthy by the world to walk among the truths." Moon stood there, stunned and bewildered. Chosen? Worthy? Why am I still here? The voice addressed everyone as equals, speaking of status panels and ability progression. Moon asked himself the most important question of his life. Was he truly a null, as the stone had claimed, or did the first sanctuary see something else entirely? The anomaly Moon stood there, his body trembling. The words echoing from the sanctuary were addressed to him as if he were an awakener like any other. As the voice faded and the other students began to cheer and compare their abilities, Moon remained frozen. He tried to convince himself this was just a system glitch, that his rotten luck had somehow caused him to slip through the cracks of the filtration process that sent his peers back to Earth. Panic began to seep into his heart. He had no class, no skills, and he was expected to survive a full week here before the gates would allow him to return. A week without protection, without power, and without even food. Suddenly, the spirit's voice returned with a sentence that shifted the scales. You may view your status simply by thinking the word status. Moon uttered it instinctively, and a transparent screen, visible only to him, flickered into existence. Then came the shock. It was impossible for a null, those without abilities, to manifest a status window. Yet Moon saw his data in full: name, Moon class, classless, talent, Grim Reaper, innate skill, class slot. Moon couldn't wrap his head around it. Was the school's awakening stone broken, or was he truly not a null? Before he could process this, he was teleported to a massive plaza inside a fortress fortified with colossal walls. A delicate girl with blonde hair tied in pigtails approached him, looking incredibly nervous. She asked if they could form a party to protect each other. Moon agreed, knowing it would increase his chances of survival, but asked her for a moment to get his affairs in order. Moon turned his focus back to his status window and discovered the true weight of his situation: classless. This meant he was an anomaly in the system. He wasn't bound to a single class, allowing him to learn any skill from any other class based on his own understanding and intelligence. Grim Reaper. This talent allowed him to harvest 5 times the amount of souls, the primary currency of the sanctuary used for survival and skill progression, from any monster he killed. Class slot. This was his most broken ability. He could copy the class of anyone he observed fighting for 24 hours. More dangerously, if he mastered those skills well enough, he could convert them into permanent skills, even after the copying period expired. Moon finally realized the truth. He hadn't failed the awakening. He was simply too much for a standard awakening stone to measure. He wasn't just an awakener, he was an anomaly, an exceptional case existing outside the laws of the entire world. Key observations and terms. Anomaly. This is a great word for Moon's status, making him sound like a bug in the system that's actually a feature. Classless. A classic trope where having nothing actually means you can have everything.